Hi, this is a bonus Q&A episode. I try and go live every Thursday afternoon on the School for the Dogs Instagram account, which is simply at School for the Dogs. If you would like to ask a question in advance or be notified when I am going to go live, you can go to schoolforthedogs.com/Q&A. I also periodically answer questions on Clubhouse. You can find me there at Annie Grossman. Gussie the Hussy says, how do you vet the trainers you hire? What sort of continued education do they get? Very good question. So, we started a few years ago, our professional program, training people up to become professional dog trainers. And, I think that's Sophie. Hey, Sophie. And part of the reason we did that was because we had trouble finding trainers that we felt like we wanted to work with. It's really hard to find good dog trainers out there. And I'm happy to share some tips on how to find some good dog trainers. But before I do, I should plug that we are putting our professional program largely online. And what's extra exciting about that is a lot of the content is actually totally free because we want there to be more educated, good dog trainers out there. We felt like we wanted to take away as many of the barriers as possible. So we are just on the brink of launching the full suite of courses, but the first two are up, and you can get them at schoolforthedogs.com/courses. The completely free open source one, which contains most of our professional course online content, written content, is called Born to Behave. You can find it there. You can sign up there. Then there's like a tier 1 professional course, which is the same content as Born to Behave, but you do get a certificate at the end if you do all the parts and do the quizzes. And then we're about to put up the second tier, which is going to have real-time interactions with trainers, several hours of lectures, the ability to sit in with our trainers on sessions, etc., etc. So make sure to sign up for our newsletter. I think you can get there at schoolforthedogs.com/newsletter. Make sure to follow us on Instagram so that you're up to date on all of that stuff. But again, just go to schoolforthedogs.com/courses and you can see those first two things. Let's see. I think to look at our staff to remind myself right now. But let me see. We have 2 trainers who came to us from Hunter, which is a college or university. I think it's Hunter College, but they do have advanced degree programs. So Sasha and Maddie right now are getting their masters at Hunter. We found them, and also our trainer Ginny, who hasn't been working with us sadly for the last year because of quarantine, but Ginny also came to us through Hunter. They have a fabulous master's degree there called it's an animal behavior and conservation program that I've actually thought about doing, but 3 of my employees have done it. So that's where they came from. Who else? Then we have Claire Cario. I interviewed her on the podcast recently about her background in training. She and also our trainer Adam, who I also interviewed recently on the podcast, was kind of word of mouth through a really great just email list of some of the best trainers in New York City that we're on. I think we found both of them through that very small email list that was started by Dr. Elise Christensen of Behavior Vets in New York City. If you're looking for a good trainer in your area, if there's a good veterinary behaviorist that you know of, they should be able to recommend a good one. Behavior Vets actually has its own team now of excellent trainers. Who else is on our staff? Mike, Aaron, M, and Anna, all 4 of them did our professional program. Actually, Anna was in the first class, the very first class that we did. I think we've done 6 classes now of like between 2 and 3 people each. So yeah, we've been working hard at training up trainers. If you're trying to find a good trainer in your area, clickertraining.com is the Karen Pryor website. I think there's like, maybe I'm going to be wrong, I think there's something like 1,500 Karen Pryor Academy certified trainers in the country, or actually throughout the world at this point. I might have that number wrong, but it's something like that. And I did the KPA program. I am a KPA certified training partner. I think anyone who has gone through their program is going to be quite decent. There is also the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers, which is might be the only accredited certifying body for dog trainers, and is certainly like the most respected, one. You get a CPDT KA or KSA certification by going through their tests, and they have like a test, and then you also have to show that you've done a certain number of hours, get a certain number of recommendations, I think, and you have to do continuing ed, which I think was part of your question. So you have to show that you have CEUs, which you also have to do with Karen Pryor. And CEUs, there are so many wonderful continuing education opportunities out there for dog training. And, you know, a lot of dog trainers I know didn't really do a formal program. Even Kate, who is my partner and certainly one of the best dog trainers I know, she didn't do one specific program, but she, you know, I guess you'd say has cobbled together quite an education, doing a lot of continuing ed style programs. Off the top of my head, there are Clicker Expo, which is run also by the Karen Pryor Academy organization. They run conferences, I think twice a year in the States and once a year abroad, that are chock full of so much good information, amazing lecturers. They also have tons of resources online. The Association for Professional Dog Trainers also has an annual conference that has often blown my mind, and I love going to that one. The IAABC also has an annual conference that we've been to. And, you know, a great resource that a lot of people don't know about for continuing ed is Tawzer.com, TAWZER.com. It is, it's like Netflix for dog nerds. I believe it's $50 a month, and you get unlimited access. Used to be like DVDs that they would mail out, but I think now it's all online. Unlimited access to huge number of videos. Most of them are like recorded lectures. So it's another really good place to look. All right. Thank you for that question, Gussie the Hussy. I love your name. Artie LePup on Instagram said, "Why is my dog suddenly so reactive?" You know, as I often say when I do these Q&As, like it's almost like not that funny dog training improv, let's say. You know, I'm not getting a lot of information from you guys usually with your questions, and certainly, you know, a 7-word question like, why is my dog suddenly so reactive? There could be any number of reasons. So I have to say, you know, make sure to get in touch with a good dog trainer. You can check out some of those references I just mentioned. If you've missed what I've said, I will put this up on School for the Dogs podcast so that you can check it out there. I mean, there's any number of reasons why your dog is suddenly so reactive. I don't know how old your dog is. I don't know the situation. Young dogs do go through what's called fear periods, which can be times when they're suddenly especially fearful. And I kind of equate this to, one way to think about it is like, as an animal is growing older and evolving and getting farther away from the protective world of their parents, they kind of need to be a little bit more fearful about things in order to survive. But sometimes that fear is misplaced. So they might suddenly become fearful of something that seemed normal yesterday. But fear is generally a good thing in that it can keep us safe. If you're noticing your dog is suddenly fearful and you have a young puppy, it could be one of these fear periods. Fear in dogs can lead to a lot of behaviors we don't like, which is one reason why I think it is so important to use dog training methods that are rooted in positive reinforcement, because we do not want to create more fear in our dogs. But my quick tip solution would be to try and start to keep a log of two things. One, the situations where your dog seems fearful. Note everything that's going on. Are you in a specific room? Who's in the room? What sounds are in the room? Everything you can think of, because there might be things that your dog is perceiving that you're not perceiving, you might find as you do this over time that you come up with some specific things that it seems like your dog may be fearful of. And I can tell you, you never know. I had a puppy kindergarten class once that I was running, and in our puppy kindergarten classes, because the focus is socialization, we do stuff like play noises. Like we'll play crazy noises and then give a dog a treat. Trying to use classical conditioning to teach a dog that the sound of a siren is an okay thing and the sound of a baby crying is an okay thing. Or sometimes in class we'll bring out, oh my God, my dog nose just changed to a Dalmatian. Look at that. Sometimes in class we'll pull out like weird objects, like or things that are weird to walk on, tinfoil or children's toys, wind-up toys, vacuums. And again, it's about teaching the dog, like, in the presence of this weird object, you get treats. And one time I remember we were in a class, I think it was with weird objects, and a feather wafted through the room. And this one golden retriever puppy went bananas, fearful of this feather, which to me was just a good reminder that you never know. So try and keep a log. Also, try and keep a log of what your dog is doing that's letting you know that he's fearful. I mean, I commend you for even noticing he's fearful at all. That takes more observation skills than some people have. But what is he doing? Is he barking? Are his ears going back? Is he cowering? Is he hiding? And try and notice in the sequence of whatever he's doing, what the first indication is of that fear. Because that's where you can intervene. And that's where you want to be in order to try and keep your dog from being fearful. Something like, most aggression can stem from fear. And most dogs don't go from like happy-go-lighting to biting. There is a sequence of events between those two things. So if you can start noticing as early as possible that your dog is uncomfortable, you can start intervening and rescuing your dog, let's put it, early on. So that, oh, hey Leah, hey Gilby. So that is my, hey Stephanie, that is my, my long and rather vague, but necessarily vague answer to this question, why is my dog suddenly so reactive? Artie, I don't know where you are located, but if you do need help finding a good trainer, please let me know. Last question comes from Roxy Riddler on Instagram. My pup is no longer interested in recall unless she sees a treat. Help. Okay. Well, one reason why we really drive home the point to our clients that you can't have the treat visible when you're training until after the behavior happens, ideally after you've used some sort of marker in most situations, be it a clicker or a marker word or hand signal or whatever, is because you don't want to get in the habit of the dog who's like, show me the money, right? And actually, I get on my husband's back about this because my old dog Amos was really impeccably trained to do all kinds of, both fun and useful things until my husband came into the picture. At which point, I guess you could say I did a crappy job of teaching my husband how to train my dog, because he is the king of like having the cheese in his hand while asking the dog to do something. And yeah, it got to the point where my dog was like, well, why should I do it unless you have cheese in your hand? Which is not where you want to be. We call it like getting lost in treat land. So make sure your goodies, if you're using yummy edible goodies, are tucked away in a treat pouch, out of sight, and do not show themselves until after the behavior happens. That said, I would also suggest that if you're already having this problem, while you try to separate the treat from the cue, I would also start incorporating other kinds of rewards in your training, especially for something like recall, which is an active behavior. Your dog is on his feet or her feet, probably coming towards you. Use that energy, that running energy, to your advantage. So the second that your dog comes to you, sometimes with a recall, part of the reward can be you running away, giving your dog the opportunity to, sorry, had trouble getting that word out, opportunity to chase you. That can actually reinforce the behavior of coming to you, and at the same time encourage your dog to then be coming to you for the next recall with great alacrity, right? Getting your dog, building the behavior of not only coming to you, but coming to you with a lot of excitement. Running away from your dog is one way to do that. Presenting a toy, a squeaky toy, tossing a toy, rather than giving a treat when they come to you, can also be an option. Anyway, that is a really good question. You can also, like any other behavior, you're going to be shaping a recall, from a short distance to a long distance. If you're at a long distance, your dog might not even be able to see or smell that you have a treat on you. But I would suggest starting really from the beginning if you're trying to retrain this, and that can be as simple as doing a hand touch, teaching a dog every time you touch my outstretched fingers, you get something good, with the good thing not presented until after they touch your fingers. And then, build it from there. But you can always start from scratch. Karen Pryor calls it going back to kindergarten. So if you're having this issue with your dog, just start from the beginning. All right. Thank you. These were some very good questions. I will be posting this on the podcast. If you have a question that you would like to ask, oh, hey, Nugs. Happy, it was your birthday, I think I saw. If you have a question you'd like to ask, or you'd like to be notified when I'm going live here or elsewhere, you can sign up or submit a question at schoolforthedogs.com/ask. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.